This report analytically develops the first 10 listed entities, emphasizing their factual context and the implications of their respective situations. The objective is to achieve a substantial volume while maintaining a professional perspective on these cases of extreme thinness or bodily particularities. Number 10. Tom Staniford. Tom Staniford is a singular medical case, being one of only 7 people known worldwide to suffer from a condition that impedes fat deposition beneath the skin, a syndrome potentially identified as MDP syndrome, lipid depletion disease. This lack of natural adipose cushion has significant physical repercussions on his daily life, notably rapid limb stiffness and an increased vulnerability to fractures in the event of an accident, which is particularly relevant given his career as a high-level paracyclist. The clinical irony lies in the fact that this inability to normally store lipids causes insulin resistance, leading him to develop type 2 diabetes, a pathology usually correlated with obesity, forcing him to follow a strict diet and a medical treatment to regulate his blood sugar. Aged 6 feet 3 inches and weighing only 64 kilograms, Staniford recognizes that his emaciated appearance gives him an apparent age older than his real age, illustrating the complexity of living with a disease that disrupts fundamental bodily functions, making his existence a delicate journey. His story highlights the unforeseen physiological consequences of a rare metabolic anomaly, affecting both locomotion and glucose homeostasis. Number 9. Lizzie Velasquez. Lizzie Velasquez, born in 1989, 4 weeks premature, faces a medical condition so uncommon that it has no established nomenclature, affecting, according to estimates, only 2 other individuals on the planet. This physical singularity unfortunately exposed her to bullying throughout her life. A traumatic turning point occurred at age 17, when a local television interview, posted online, had already accumulated 4 million views and was accompanied by a massive wave of hateful comments, which left her profoundly devastated by overwhelming sadness, despite previous experience with harassment. Fortunately, the intervention of her parents offered her a constructive perspective, encouraging her to transform her pain into strength after a necessary period of grief. Since this event, Lizzie Velasquez has dedicated her life to becoming an internationally renowned motivational speaker, actively positioning herself in the fight against cyberbullying and negative body images. Her influence extends across the world, where she inspires thousands of people to accept their differences and navigate the challenges posed by public judgment related to appearance. Her story illustrates remarkable resilience, making her medical affliction a catalyst for powerful and positive social activism, proving that personal value transcends physical markers. Number 8. Valeria Lavina. Valeria Lavina, a patient suffering from anorexia, was publicized under the moniker of the thinnest woman in the world, and chose to use her platform for a form of shock sensitization. She expressed surprise at seeing her image become a point of reference for teenage girls seeking to imitate her skeletal morphology. In an attempt at deterrence, Lavina deliberately shared explicit photographs documenting the extent of her condition, hoping that the direct visualization of the physical consequences would discourage other individuals from succumbing to anorexic pressure. She highlights the devastating effects of the disease, which she describes as having made her solitary and unaesthetic. Concurrently, Lavina implicitly criticizes the standards of the fashion industry, noting that many designers favor ultra-thin silhouettes for their collection presentations and photo shoots, only able to accommodate very small sizes. She insists on the necessity of a healthy and athletic body ideal, far from the extremes of obesity or skeletal thinness. The fact that Valeria highlights her condition is hailed as an act of courage aimed at educating the public about the deadly risks of this severe eating disorder. Number 7. Christian Bale. Christian Bale is a film actor whose career is marked by spectacular physical transformations, testament to his deep commitment to the dramatic art and the credibility of his characters. His reputation as a versatile actor rests in part on his willingness to radically alter his physique for the narrative demands of his roles, generating public admiration for his masterful performances. The most notorious example of this physical discipline was his participation in the film The Machinist, where he had to achieve an extreme level of weight loss. For this role, Bale subjected his body to a very strict diet, causing him to lose approximately 65 pounds, bringing him down to a weight of around 130 pounds. He portrayed the main character suffering from chronic insomnia for a year, which manifested as delusional episodes, deep anxiety, and pervasive paranoia, requiring his physical appearance to reflect this deterioration. Bale's success in this role and other transformations illustrates a method of intense immersion, where physical mastery becomes an essential tool for conveying the complex psychology of the characters he interprets. Although these extreme methods regularly raise questions about the long-term health management for actors. Number 6. Isabelle Carrot. Isabelle Carrot, a French model and actress from Marseille, achieved a form of notoriety by participating in the shocking advertising campaign No Anorexia, orchestrated by photographer Oliviero Toscani. This campaign became emblematic due to the raw portrayal of the disease, where Carrot was photographed with such thinness that her bones, particularly her vertebrae and facial structures, were visible beneath the skin. Carrot suffered from severe anorexia nervosa since the age of 13, a condition she attributed to difficulties encountered during her childhood. Her health was so precarious that she was admitted to the hospital for the first time at the age of 20, after falling into a coma, an episode with extremely grim vital prognoses, but from which she managed to temporarily recover. Tragically, Isabelle Carrot's battle against this devastating disease ended on November 17, 2010, in France, where she died after 2 weeks of hospitalization for an acute respiratory illness. Her story remains a poignant and documented testimony to the terminal consequences of anorexia nervosa, amplified by her choice to expose herself publicly. Number 5. Maria and Katie Campbell. Maria and Katie Campbell, identical twin sisters, saw their path toward anorexia unexpectedly triggered at the age of 11 by a comment from their father, considered harmless but having a major psychological impact. They were at the top of a staircase when their father remarked that they were putting on weight around the hips, an observation that provoked a reaction of anger and a determination to compensate by ceasing to eat to eliminate this physical characteristic. Today, both sisters weigh less than 84 pounds, recognizing that the disorder is deeply rooted and that it may be impossible for them to completely recover. Despite this somber clarity, they are actively engaged in a healing process by enrolling for several months in a new specialized treatment facility. Their situation illustrates the fragility of body image in pre-adolescent girls and the way seemingly minor family interactions can serve as a trigger for chronic and potentially fatal eating disorders, requiring intensive and prolonged therapeutic intervention in an attempt to break the restriction cycle. Number 4. Jeremy Gillitzer. Jeremy Gillitzer, a former model, is a figure whose struggle against anorexia was particularly severe, culminating in an extremely low weight of 68 pounds at the time of his death, leaving him unrecognizable. His story is significant because it highlights the reality that eating disorders are not exclusive to women. Data from the first major national Harvard survey on mental health regarding eating disorders confirms this statistical reality. Men account for 25% of anorexia and bulimia cases, and even 40% of binge eating disorder cases. The case of Gillitzer, although an extreme example, underscores the importance of recognizing and diagnosing anorexia in men, who are often less likely to seek help or be identified as suffering from this disease. As a former model, he may have been subjected to specific pressures related to body image in his professional environment, contributing to a downward trajectory toward a state of critical thinness. His tragic journey is a reminder that anorexia is a serious mental illness whose physical consequences can be fatal, regardless of the gender of the affected person. Number 3. Jana Spangenberg. Jana Spangenberg, a 30-year-old Romanian model, captured online attention through video sequences showing her sporting a 20-inch waist, about 50.8 centimeters, in a fitted and shimmering dress, which led many to wonder if this extreme thinness was the result of digital editing. Despite the speculation, the model firmly maintains that she has never resorted to drastic slimming diets to maintain this ultra-svelte figure. On the contrary, she claims to eat 3 full meals every day, which contradicts the idea that her thinness stems solely from caloric restriction. The key to this particular morphology, she insists, lies in the constant use of a corset, a device that allows the waistline to be reshaped and reduced through external compression over a long period. The circulation of these images has sparked a lively debate about body beauty standards and the methods used to achieve them. Spangenberg's case illustrates the growing ambiguity between body modifications achieved through external means, like tight lacing, and those resulting from pathological eating disorders, a point of confusion for the public faced with bodies of non-standard proportions. Number 2. Lena Marie Fein. The case of Lena Marie Fein is a poignant study of the persistence of anorexia, a disease she contracted at age 10 when she decided to stop eating, leading to developmental deprivation that kept her in a childlike silhouette until her death in October 2019. For 20 years, she led an existence characterized by a fundamental internal contradiction. The need to live and express herself artistically through photography was opposed by the self-destructive compulsion of her disorder. Fein described her struggle as a precarious balance between the creative impulse and the urge to literally disappear from the world. She viewed her disorder as an attempt to establish control over an element of her life in the face of uncertainty. But this quest quickly transformed into submission to her illness, which she named a prison, where the disorder made all the decisions. Her statements reveal the depth of her conflict, oscillating between the assertion that she wished to live despite her critical health and the dark description of her disorder as a process of slow suicide. Her story underscores the total grip that anorexia can exert on an individual, transforming a quest for control into a form of fatal imprisonment. Number 1. Michelle Kobe. Michelle Kobe, a 24-year-old woman from Germany, is an extreme adherent of tight lacing, a practice she has used since late 2009 to attempt to significantly reshape her body. She has managed to reduce her waist circumference from 25 inches to 21 inches and is actively seeking to reach the measurement of 14.9 inches, which would allow her to surpass the current record held by Kathy Young, which is only 15 inches. The intensity of her commitment is illustrated by the fact that she only removes her corset for showering and systematically sleeps with it, testifying to a dependence on compression for the maintenance of her body shape. This level of physical constraint entails direct consequences on her physiology, with Kobe reporting episodes of shortness of breath and a notable difficulty standing upright without the structural support provided by the corset. Her goal of reducing her waist to 14.9 inches places her in a record-breaking quest for voluntary body modification, raising questions about the limits and potential risks associated with such prolonged and extreme thoracic and abdominal compression, although she seems motivated by a record objective rather than a recognized illness. Number 11. Unforeseen cases moment. He was nicknamed Jude Flitt, the world's thinnest man, but behind this almost erased body, a whole life was beating. Every bone told a battle, every wrinkle a year snatched from time. Sitting on his bed, he seemed fragile as a shadow, yet his gaze carried a silent strength. Where the world saw weakness, he carried the proof that survival is sometimes the greatest of exploits. In conclusion, The detailed analysis of the first 10 cases highlights the diversity of factors leading to extreme thinness or atypical morphologies. These profiles, whether linked to genetics, mental illness, or extreme practices, constitute case studies on the limits of the human body and the associated health challenges.